Hi, today I'm going to talk about my assignment about music management system. And these are the task given and the menu as well. And I've created a text file called collections. However, for the copy version of text file, I'm going to use music info as written above. And the copy version of Python has been updated as well. So you will see me using collection in this video. But for my assignment, I'm going to use music info as my database. So I've printed out my menu and I'm using the case mesh selections for user to selection. So in order to let user select 1 to 6, I'm creating a while loop. If the user select 0 or anything above 6, then it will be the case blank, which is print please enter a number between 1 to 6, and it will tell them to re-enter again. So what if user enter words? That's why I'm using try and accept. If the user enter words, then they will print the accept way, then it will tell them to re-enter again. Before I go through my 6 module, I'm going to create a define called read file, and I'm going to import my collection. So I'm going to use the import library functions. And for this for loop, it is how every line will be separate with each other with a comma. And after that, I'm going to return this data into the define. And I've changed the read file name into main list. For my case one, I have 5 define, and the first define is to let user to enter a valid value. So I created a while loop. If the user enter a not valid value, which is blank, then it will tell them to enter a valid value, and it will tell them to re-enter again. Once correct, it will return the data in this define. And the second one is valid date define, which is to check whether the year, month, or day is valid or not. And the third will be date input define. It is to check whether the user entered the right format or not. And for this if loop, it is how the day only have 2 digits and the month only have 2 digits as well. And this one is how I created the format. And if the user enter words, how am I going to do? So for that case, I'm going to use try and accept. If the user enter the word, then it will be the invalidate format. We'll tell them to re-enter again. And for this format input define, it is only for format. So I'm going to ask the user about where they purchased the album. And I'm going to use this while loop. The while loop only execute when the user select P or D. And they will need to enter the album name inside. So after that, I'm going to have the data and it will return in this define. And last, it will be the as song define. I've created a new variable named new list. All of them will be inside. And I'm going to print out and let them see. So I'm going to let them to select, which also while loop. Save to save as, E to exit. So if the user press S, then it will update the collection. The update process will be in my main program. And if the user select E, then the record will not save. It will automatically jump up to the main menu. For my main program, this is my main program. So I created several F label, and each F label will be equal to different variables. And all of this will be stored in my first define. And I'm going to call my add songs as add functions and import the library. And for C in range length add function, this is how I'm going to display them. If C not equal to this, which is not equal to index 6, all of them will need to have a comma between words. And if it is equal to 6, then you will have to add a new line only. And this is how I display as the result. For my case 2, I created a new define called delete. And to let user to insert a right ID, I've created this while loop. The while loop only execute when the user enter a right ID. If it is executed, then it will print the selected albums has been deleted and the condition will be false, and this while loop will be executed. So to delete, I've used this pop function, and I'm using this as how it will be displayed. This for loop is similar to the add songs define. For my main program, I'm going to call out my display function and also the delete function. And this is the result look like. The ID only will be deleted when the selected ID is within the range. For module 4, I've created a new define called update. And as the assignment given, users are able to select from album, artist, and song title, either one of them to edit. So I created a music list with empty list. Then if the user selected album, then selected album will be created. So for the for loop, it will append all the albums, since albums is index 0, and it will append all line of index 0. And below for the while loop, it is to let user to enter an album name, which will match the album name in my collection. If it is true, then it will pass to the for loop below. The for loop is to create a display functions to let the user choose the possibility of the album name. So for the second while loop, the user will need to select a number. And if the user has selected a number, which is in the range of my main list, then they were told to enter a new album name. And the album name will change based on my main program, since I have some update function in there. And for the artist and song title, it's the same. It's just some names and the index different. For artist, it is index 1. And for song title, it is index 2. And this is my main program. So at first, I'm going to give user to choose. Then after they choose, then I'm going to call my update functions. After calling my update function, I'm going to update them. And for this for loop, it is how I'm going to display them neatly. So for C in range 0 to 7, which is if C not equal to 6, which is 0 to 5, they will add a comma between words. And if it is 6, then they will just write. Then after that, I will print the music list has been updated. And this is the result of it. For case 4, I'm created a define function called display, and I've imported the library. And to remove the /m from the end, I'm going to use the rstrip function. And to make them neatly, I'm going to use the comma between words with this for loop. To make the table neatly, I'm going to find the maximum length of each column and also the maximum length of the title. After finding, I'm going to compare them and create a new variable called max length. So for the title display and the record display, I'm going to use the result of the max length with a blank space, which means my first column will have a space before the second column, and the space depends on which words have the most maximum length of each column. And the LJUST is stand for left justify, so the ID will be at the left, and left justify 4, so the ID can put from 0 to 9999. And after that, my main program is to only call the display function, and the result will be shown like this. For case 5, I'm going to import random, and I'm going to define a new name called playlist. I'm going to call out my read file, and I'm using the random choice here with the read file, and my k digit will be 10. That means that it will choose 10 random songs from read file, which is from my collections. And this is how I'm going to display them. And for the main program, I'm going to print random playlist as title, and I'm going to call out the playlist main list. And this will be the result look like. My case 6, I've given the user a selection Y for yes and N for no, and I created a while loop. So the user only can enter Y or N to execute the while loop. If the user enter Y, then it will exit successfully. If the user enter N, then the user selection will be 0, and it will back to the main menu. And this is the result of yes and no. And this is the end of my presentation. Thank you.